Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very, very accomplished woman from London, UK, Pinky Lilani, CBEDL. Pinky, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today.
Pinky is the founder and chair of the Women of the Future program. She's a trailblazing advocate for gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. For her exceptional service to charity, Pinky was appointed as Officer of the Order of the British Empire, or an OBE, in 2007. In 2015, she was honored as the Commander of the Order of the British Empire, CBE, for services to women in business. She's also currently the Deputy Lieutenant for Greater London. So, Pinky, before we talk about Women of the Future program, tell me a little bit about your own journey.
Oh, well, my journey, everybody's journey is so different, and I'm no different to anybody else. So I actually grew up in Calcutta, and I actually came to England when I met my husband, married him in 2 weeks in India. He had done no due diligence whatsoever. He thought he'd got a good wife who could cook. I'd never been inside the kitchen because we had one of the best chefs in Calcutta. So I came here with few aspirations, just wanting to be like my mother, who was an amazing hostess. So it changed the way I had my children very quickly and learned to cook. And one of my first jobs was actually somebody asked me to teach adults cookery, Indian cookery. And I said, of course I will. And so I did that. And then I followed up with writing a book on cookery, and I did lots of charitable work and on leadership. And that's how my journey began. My first program for women was the Asian Women of Achievement Awards, which I set up in 1999. And that was the start of my journey, and then I went into leadership. But I'll tell you a little story with that, because I think it's important. Everyone told me you must invite the Prime Minister's wife to attend your first award ceremony. And it was Tony Blair was the Prime Minister. And so I rang up Downing Street and said, will Mrs. Blair come to my awards dinner? And they actually came back and said yes. Wow. So I asked the next question. The only thing you get for life without asking is an infectious disease. So I asked the next question. I said, will she wear an Indian outfit? And they said, oh, well, she doesn't have any. So I said, I can bring some for her to try. So they said, all right, come to Downing Street. So I go to Downing Street with these kurtas and saris, and she wears one of them. Amazing. And she comes to our awards, and she becomes my patron. She's been a great friend and supporter. So that's where I really began on.
What an amazing story. What an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing this. So, Pinky, let's talk about Women of the Future program. Tell me a little bit about the program and what inspired you to start the program.
Well, as I said, in 1999, I started the Asian Women of Achievement Awards, which is for all Asian women of any age. But in 2006, I was meeting all these young women who nobody ever seems to acknowledge or give credit to. So I said, let's start the Women of the Future Awards in 2006. It was for women under 35 in about 6 categories. And we came across amazing, amazing people, and inspiring women who are under 35, giving them opportunities, opening doors for them, changes their lives. And so we went on from that. We've really grown. We've taken it to Southeast Asia. We've got the Women of Future Network, because you know how important it is. Your connections are so important. We have a school program. We have a summit. Now we have ESG, the first global listing of 50 women under 35 around the world in ESG. And the FT are our media partners and everything, and so CNE supporting us. And we're really recognizing women and trying to change their lives.
Oh, wonderful. And can you share a story from your own life that pushed you towards this mission?
Well, I think it was more the recognition you get. And every time you recognize, somebody opens a door. I think what helped me most, I always say, I stand on the shoulders of giants. So you can only do so much by yourself. And every time we had an award, people would come. We're so lucky. King Charles came to our award just when he married the Queen. That was 2008 or 9. And that actually changed the way people look at you. They give you credibility. And I think also it gave me confidence, because I think, for me, curiosity, courage and kindness. And then I add coriander because food is a big part of my life. Help people on their journey. So the story I'll tell you, which is very quick and brief, is about 12 years ago, my son said he wanted to do an MBA and go to Oxford. Like any Indian mother, I said, go to Oxford. So he said he's going around looking around the campus, and I said, I'll come with you. So he goes in to look around. I go to the office and say, what do you guys do for women? So they said, well, what do you do? They looked at this middle-aged Indian woman. And I said, what I did. And he got into Oxford, which I was delighted. And I got a call from them 2 weeks later saying, would I be the keynote speaker on the first day of term to the women and women's alumni? So I told him, I'm giving the keynote speech on the first day. Don't tell the women, if I make a mess, nobody will ever date you. Well, he married one of them. He married an amazing Chinese-American girl. But everywhere I go and talk on leadership, food is important. So I take my spicy Bombay potatoes and I cook it there. So I take an electric wok, plug it in, and make masala wala aloo. I've done that everywhere, probably 100 corporations. And I did that at Oxford too. So it's having that courage of taking a risk.
Fantastic. So Pinky, tell me, in today's context, what do you think are some of the most pressing challenges young women face?
I think it's getting recognition that they feel discriminated against. We know there aren't enough women. And they also, the challenge of having a family and having children and trying to make everything work together. They also sometimes feel out of their depths when they enter a room where they don't know people. So I think, the main thing for them is it's really getting those promotions they want, getting access. So those are the main challenges everyone faces.
Fascinating. Thank you. And how do you select participants for the Women of the Future program?
Well, I go to all the amazing alumni we have and all the people we know to be to actually be on our shortlisting panel. Once we've selected the women, they all actually meet the judges. We have incredible judges, and these women we select 4 to 6 in every category. They actually have a 20-minute meeting in person with the judges. And even in Southeast Asia, we do them virtually. So that we use expertise. I never use my own expertise at all there, but use other people.
Very interesting.
And then once they're met, then they actually get recognized at the awards dinner. So it's an official affair, and we have amazing people come and they get that. And they become part of our alumni. So it changes their lives. I said the amount of people who tell me that having been part of our event has introduced to people they would never otherwise meet. And that's very important.
Fascinating. And, you just told me about some of the challenges that young women face. How does the program address a lot of these challenges for these women?
Well, we have lots of sessions which actually look at the topics that are challenging for them. So we take those topics like how do you become a board member? How do you become a CEO? How do you actually build your network? And so we have the Women of the Future Network. So every year we have 3 programs for that. I'm also very excited. I work with 6 formers. They're 16 to 18-year-olds. So we have one program called the Ambassadors Program, where all our alumni, we have 106 formers to meet 100 women of achievement. And they can talk to anyone. Sometimes you grow up in a family, you want to be a lawyer. You don't know a lawyer, so we give them access to all kinds of people. And I think that makes the difference.
Amazing. My next question is that, why do you believe it is essential to nurture in the way that you're doing the next generation of women leaders?
I think you have to give them hope. You have to give them belief in themselves and give them the access and tell them, look, I've done this by sharing stories. You inspire people. So I get all kinds of people to come and share their stories. One of our first winners in 2007 was a young girl called Liv Garfield, and she became the youngest CEO of a 300 company of Severn Trent. Wow. 5 years later, we're still in, and there's an amazing girl from India who won one of our awards. She was doing her PhD in water pollutants. And what I do all the time is connect people without them even asking. So I connected the girl from India with the CEO of Severn, and they did a project together. So I think I just give them hope and believe, and kindness plays a very big part. So I set up the first kindness and leadership event in 2018, we opened the London stock market on World Kindness Day.
Wow.
And we have men and women of any age on that list. So it changes life when you see people you can access and you can be like. You need role models, you need trailblazers. And you need people who, if you talk to them, will give you an answer. I hate people who take a long time to reply.
Right.
And I make that a principle.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you. And what, in your view, are some of the leadership qualities that you feel are unique or particularly strong in women?
I think, with women and men, they share a lot of common qualities, but I think for me, values of people are the most important. So, to have integrity, to have humility, to have confidence, to have courage, to take risks, not be afraid of failure. And those are important qualities. To have compassion and to actually, take challenges. And even if you can't do it well, I don't think there's anything called a failure. It's a way of learning. So that curiosity and courage is very important. So I just, and also for me, it's be the best version of yourself, be authentic. So if a woman's good at something, she should do it. It doesn't matter if men can't do it or men do it. That's irrelevant.
I've also often said that women are extremely good multitaskers when men can't multitask at all.
There are some men who have come across who are incredible multitaskers, I must say that. But I really hope that women have the the confidence and the courage and have also to have good mentors and sponsors in your life. It's good. You need other people to open doors for you. Correct. And so that is and being just yourself, that is so important. Don't try to be something you don't have the qualities in because you think it's acceptable. That's a no-no for me.
Well said. And Pinky, with changing dynamics of work and the influence of technology, how is your program adapting to ensure participants are future ready?
Yeah, well, I'm going to all the people who are good at whatever they do. So obviously technology has become very important. We do virtual things, which we never used to do. We're obviously a lot on social media. But I still think you have to stick to your principles. People go through ups and downs, but we encourage people also. It's always asking people, what do you want? Asking them what their needs are and bringing them on board next time. So I think that's a combination because just because I run a women's program doesn't mean it's all women who are part of that journey. It's also the leaders who are advising us are incredible men. I'm so lucky. One of my favorite stories is about 8 years ago. I was having coffee with the Countess of Wessex, who's the king's sister-in-law, and she asked me, Pinky, how can I help you? And I said, I'd love a good brand to support us. And when I mentioned the brand, she said, I actually know the chairman, and I will connect you. And that person, Sir John Peace, has been incredibly supportive, inspirational, but really believes in what we do. So you have to find people, women have to find people who believe in what they do.
Well said. Great response. My next question is that how does your program address issues like gender bias, stereotypes, and societal expectations?
Yeah, they're very different in different parts of the world. So it's different when I travel to the East and when I'm in India and in the UK and in America, it's all different. We look at them, we try to address them as best as possible. We bring people who are working in those areas to share what they're doing because it's what may work well for me may not work well for other people in different companies. So find out people who are actually, every single company now seems to have here DEI specialists that wasn't there 10 years ago, and they're all doing different things. Some of them have really adapted and are making a difference, some aren't. So we involve people, so it's always hearing a different viewpoint and trying to adjust to that and giving people access, opening doors for them. I will connect people to others so that they can find the answers if I don't know the answer.
Well said. And in an ideal world, what would you like to see change for women in the next decade?
I'd love them, for them to be able to do the things they really believe in, to have, obviously that adaptation and, balancing family life and their own life is so important. There's so many global expectations, so people have to travel their work. There's so much toxicity everywhere. To help them find solutions, find people with them on that journey, and to take the risk. I'd love women to do things they've never done. And I'm coming across more and more women I work with who are CEOs of companies, but often I find on boards of different companies, the same women are there. So we have to use different people, give people you least expect an opportunity. And I want women to believe in themselves. So the whole thing is, and go into areas they've never worked. Working for us in Southeast Asia is so different. Walmart is one of my sponsors, and they have quite a big set up in India. And so, we meet those women, we hear, but, there's so much of commonality. Everyone wants to succeed. They want to make a difference. They want to be the best version of themselves. We have to help them on that journey.
Right. Very well said. Thank you. So I have time for 2 more questions for you. My next question, Pinky, is how do you envision the future of the Women of the Future program? And are there any initiatives or expansions that you are excited about?
Well, that's something at my age we're looking at, and I still enjoy everything I do, but I think we have to look at how does it carry on if something happened to me tomorrow. Yeah. I don't want all these women. And so we've got we put together for the first time an advisory board from some of the big companies to take on board what they want. How to make something that is sustainable is very important to me, because I can see what difference we've made in people's lives. So now we went to ESG for the first time. I knew people here in Asia. I didn't think I'd get people from South America and Africa. We had the best list ever. The Financial Times published it last week. They're our partners. So I think it's going into areas where you have a global reach. I want women. I'm so keen. I do this women to connect globally, because it's very different in India to it is in America. But I want them to have access. So if they want to, to give them that hope. So I hope for the women's future to build a sustainable brand that has, that you can adapt to every culture you're in.
Very well said. Thank you. And my last question to you, Pinky, and this is for the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation. Based on all the work that you have been doing for women, what would you say are 3 lessons you would want a lot of our young viewers and listeners to take away from your own journey and from all the great work that you have done and all the recognition you have received?
Again, I'll go back to that. To me, the values are most important. So for women to succeed, they have to have courage, they have to have curiosity, they have to have confidence. And for me, I always come back to kindness. I think kindness, you have not lived a perfect day unless you've done something for someone who can never repay you. So kindness, I think, lies at the heart of everything.
Yeah. Very interesting. And on that note, Pinky, and your wonderful comments, everyone needs to have courage, curiosity, confidence, and kindness, which you say is the base that everyone needs to have. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your own journey. What an amazing journey from a young girl who said, I can't cook, to now cooking across the world for so many different people. Thank you so much for talking to me about Women of the Future program and all the great work you're doing to empower so many more women, not just in a few countries, but I think you're now doing it across the whole world. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much. And may I tell you, you have been so gracious and kind. So really appreciate that. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website, www.tbcy.in, to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.